Hello there, welcome to Genessis Models. My name is Bob Waldron and welcome to our Q&A for April 2020. We'll just get started straight away. We have Steve Robinson. He's got a question here, which is how do you cut, trim and sand ultra-fine parts from sprues? Not really a good answer to this. The problem is with tiny little bits is you kind of need to sort of grin and bear it a little bit. I know we could sort of go off and maybe we could get some tweezers and we can sort of sandwich the tiny little piece between some tweezers, which, you know, I have found doing tiny bits of photo etch, that is good, and then you sand it. But it depends on the piece. I mean, you know, photo etch, tiny bits of photo etch, fantastic, because photo etch is normally flat, so sandwiching it between tweezers, sanding it, actually really good way of doing it. But depends what kind of piece you're on about. If we're talking sort of plastic and it's kind of like all sorts of shapes, trying to sandwich it between some tweezers might not be possible. So really sometimes you just got to sort of grin and bear it, hold it, and just trying to cut it or sand it. I tend to use a blade, really. I don't really use a sanding stick on tiny little pieces. I'd rather sort of cut the bits of flash off or sort of like scrape it with a with a blade or something. But it's sort of a little bit sort of grin and bear it. There's no real sort of trick apart from, say, using said tweezers. Next up we have Amora Sailor 41. Sorry if I've pronounced that totally wrong. He's got actually quite a few questions here. He's on about the Victory build. And he's got, what's he got here? He's got I show a grey sanding stick being used on the ribs and on the back of the model. Can you tell me what the grit of sanding stick and where to buy them from? These are the good old Flurry Models sanding sticks. Now when we did that rib work, it was all about sanding wood down, so, and because it wasn't something that was going to be shown, the highest grit sanding stick you can possibly get will do the job just nicely. These, I know for like the Victory builders out there, the wooden ship builders, I know I'm sort of like taking products from scale modeling into the wood building world. So I mean, you know, we scale modelers know all about these, but for you wood builders out there, any sort of online scale modeling shop sells these types of sanding sticks. I mean, in fact, I was looking around the other day, and you know, there's loads out there, really. I mean, I use Flurry Models, but you know what? There's Ultimate, and then there's just a load of other sort of manufacturers out there that do very similar types of sanding sticks, which all look like they do exactly the same job. They almost look like they're all manufactured by the same place as well. But yeah, you know, just check out on the online modeling shops and you should find it. The next one, again, this is sort of like, you know, scale modeling crossing over into the wood building side of things. I show a spring clip being used to repair a broken rib. Could you tell me where to buy it? Again, do you know what? Seems kind of silly, but you know what? This is what it is. It's just a closed peg. Right, nick them off the wife or go to any sort of, you know, any sort of general shop anywhere. And I like to get the plastic ones. They're normally better than the wood ones because you do get these kind of little rubber sort of grips on the end. Just plain simple closed pegs, right? Really cheap, really easy, and even cheaper if you nick them off the wife. Then he goes on about future builds, because he's a wood ship builder. He's on about me if I would in the future build something like the Sovereign of the Sea or any other wood ship building, which the answer to that is probably not. Right, the HMS Victory is a colossal build. It's absolutely massive. It's going to be, you know, I forgot how big it was. It was something like 1.2 meters long and just as high. It's absolutely massive and really wide as well with the sails and everything. It's a big build, and it's taken me years so far. I'm anticipating it taking me years even more, because when it comes to scale modeling, the time it takes you to build something is going to take me longer, because when I have to film it, edit it, upload it and all that stuff, it just makes build times go on for longer for me. So yeah, this is probably still going to be a long build, and then once it's done, it's sort of like, where on earth do I put it? I have got a place in mind to put it, just over there, but to actually go off and build another one and another one, do you know what? The size of these things and the space required, it probably would stay at one, unless maybe I sold the Victory and then, I don't know, built another one. Who knows? I mean, a couple of years in the future, who knows, I might be building another one, we don't know, but probably not, sadly, to that one. Next up we have Scale Models MX 124. What's this one? Like your video and tutorials and instructions, have a question. How do you solve the issue of electrostatics when painting with an airbrush? How do you prevent the dust from sticking to the model, and whatnot? This one, I don't find much of a problem, right? With dust and debris and hairs falling on your model, I don't think it's a major problem in certain circumstances, right? Because we've got all these acrylics here, and we mainly use acrylics here at Genessis Models, we don't really use enamels. The thing is with acrylics is they dry really quickly, and if you spray them properly, they dry even quicker, right? Because really you should be doing a good old light misty coat, let it sticks to the model, followed by 2, maybe 3 light coats, right? Light coats where when you spray it, if you see it start being wet, you move along, right? And by doing that, you get a really nice finish, as well as it dries really quickly, because you just put in nice light coats and you're letting them dry between the coats, that it does dry quickly. I mean, if you went off with acrylics and you blasted a load on and it's all wet and almost dripping, it's going to take a fair bit of time to dry. And when it comes to debris and hair, it is all about the drying time. It's all about, you know, the time that model's drying. Any hairs that drop down are going to stick to it. But if your model and your paint's drying really quickly, that, you know, if any hairs do drop on it, you can just brush them off because the paint's dry. It's not really a problem. Now, when it comes to stuff like enamels and paints like that, they need hours to dry. So you've got hours and hours of that paint being a little bit tacky and a little bit wet. Those hairs and debris and everything that falls on it, they're going to stick to it, and it's going to be nasty. The way I did do a video years and years ago about doing like a hot box, and basically what this is a perfect place to get your paint to dry quicker, cure, and stop debris. And all it is, you know, you can build one of these yourself. It's just a big plastic box. I insulated it to sort of keep the heat in. I made air holes on it and everything, and basically where these air holes were, I put like a sort of like a filter, and then I just blew like from, say, a heater, some hot air blowing, you know, through these air holes and across the model. And what that basically does, if you ever want to build one, it's only kind of a bit of common sense sort of building. It's all about just sort of insulating it, air holes, you know, filters, hot air blowing across, pretty easy to sort of do. And the whole point is that by heating up and having air flow across a model, dries the paint quicker, it cures it quicker, which is, you know, the big one is curing it. And at the same time, because you've got filters, because it's in a closed box, it stops any debris and everything going on it. But even simpler still, plain and simply getting a big plastic tub, and there's your model on your desk, put a big plastic tub, a big plastic box sort of on top of it, and you just stop any sort of debris or hairs falling on it. But that's if you use enamels, which I know some people do still, but the big one is acrylics. If you can switch to acrylics, that is probably the better bet, because it just dries so quickly. I don't really have problems with that. And at the same time, having your extractor fans on and everything, which you should be having when you are airbrushing, it kind of gets rid of the debris and everything away from your model either way. So next up we have Russell Guyver. He's got great video, lovely models. Are you able to explain the differences between the Provi Pack and the Weekend Edition? Perhaps do a few weekend builds for us amateur modelers. Right, so the Provi Pack and the Weekend Edition, this is by Edard, by the way. They do these different editions, they kind of rebox the hell out of stuff. Basically, Provi Pack is their premium edition, so to speak, where you get all that lovely photo etch, you get canopy masts and all sorts of potential goodies in there. They do a royal edition, right, which is their even better one, where you get like resin and you get multiple kits and loads of decals. You get you sometimes get like something special, like maybe a engraved glass, or I've had in the past stuff like bits of cut off metal from the actual aircraft you're building and stuff. The weekend edition is just plain simply bog standard, the kit, right, which nothing wrong with that, but it's just kind of their way of sort of going basic, sort of going up to like their more advanced edition, and then like their sort of, you know, special premium editions. It's just, that's all it is really. Provi packs are good. I normally do get the Provi packs because, you know, having that nice bit of photo etch for the cockpit is always a nice bonus. The last thing there about doing a weekend build, right, do you know, I wouldn't mind doing that. It's just, you know, as I've explained with the HMS Victory, you building and me building, it takes me longer, because when you've got to like prepare for filming, then filming, editing, uploading, all that stuff, it just makes my builds be like, I don't know, 10 times as long as you guys building. So building in a weekend with a time limit, I don't know. I mean, if you guys wanted me to see me do that, I could do that, but I can't sort of imagine me being able to film much, because I'd have to really sort of, you know, really work hard and really sort of go for it building the model. The time to actually sit there, film and teach you something, I don't think I'd be able to do that much. It'd be probably more of a sort of like a quick turn on the camera and sort of, here I am, I'm going on to this next bit, and you know, then here it is, it's finished, sort of not really much footage, just kind of showing you progress rather than teaching. But you know what, leave your comments, and you know, if you guys want to see that, I might do that. But sadly, that is it for this month's Q&A. You know, if you want to get on the next month's Q&A, as always, you know, go to Genesis Models forum. On the forum, you'll find the Q&A section there, where that's the first place I'll go to get all my questions for the Q&A. But still, you know, any of you guys posting on the forum, on YouTube, emails, whatever, you know, any questions you guys have got there, you know, I'll search around and put them all together like I've just done the questions. So yeah, always get your questions in, because you'll get them answered in our monthly Q&A. But apart from that, until next time, my name's Bob Waldron, this Genesis Models, and I hope you've enjoyed.